I wake up to blue flashing lights. I am aching all over. And there are two tall blonde people sitting on either side of me, and they're speaking a language I don't understand. Where am I? The blonde woman starts speaking in English. We're in a police car. We're 2 hours south of Bangkok. I touch my face. There's blood. What happened? The man says, we were in a bus accident. You flew through the side window, and we found you 10 feet from the bus in the mud. You were unconscious. I start to remember things. I'm 24 years old. I have been in Asia for 2 years. I'd run out of money, and I was taking a long-distance bus from southern Thailand to the airport in Bangkok to fly back to Japan to teach English again. Where are my things? Oh, somebody stole your backpack. But we have your Walkman. And I touch my stomach, and my money belt's there too. The police car stops, and the couple helps me carefully out of the police car and into a clinic and onto a metal table. And I hear dogs barking in another room, and I swear I hear a rooster. Is this a veterinary clinic? A few minutes later, a very sleepy veterinarian walks in, and he examines me, and he points to my nose, my cheek, my ribs, my toes, and he says, broken. Then he points to my arm and says, half broken, and somehow produces a sling. Then he cleans out all of my cuts with disinfectant, and he sews them up with the same really thick black thread that our veterinarian at home used when she fixed my dog Tessa's paws. We get in a taxi and we head to Bangkok, and I find out that the couple's names are Sven and Anna, and they're on their honeymoon. And Anna tells me what happened during the accident. There was a bus. The bus was speeding along a thin country road, and there was a truck coming the other way, and the truck didn't stop, and the bus didn't slow down, and they crashed head on. And all the people in the front row, including the driver and a navigator, flew through the windshield and died. All the people in the second row, which was my row, they flew through the side windows and were badly hurt. And the people in the third row and back were fine, but she said, not fine. She keeps replaying the accident over and over and seeing people fly through the windows and dying. They were supposed to be in Bangkok, in Thailand for another 3 weeks, but they want to go home. I want to go home. The taxi leaves us at a little traveler's inn in Bangkok, and Sven and Anna ask for a triple room, a double bed for themselves and a little bed in the corner for me. And, well, it's not the most romantic thing on a honeymoon, but I don't object. And I catch myself in the mirror, and I see that my face, I have stitches on my face and my nose and my head and my arms and my knees and my toes. And my skirt is completely covered in mud, and my shirt is ripped, and it's impossible walking in flip-flops with broken toes, and I really can hardly move, and I'd really like to change my clothes, but my knapsack's been stolen, and I really want to figure out how to get home, but I don't know how to do it. And I start to cry. And Anna hugs me and says, we're here to help. Just tell us what you want to do. So once I get myself together, Our first stop is a pharmacy for some heavy pain relievers. And then we go to my favorite travel agency because a few weeks earlier, I had bought the best ticket ever. 9 stops all through Asia, Europe, and into New York, open for a year, and I figure I can trade that in for a one-way ticket back to Baltimore. But the ticket's non-transferable, and a new ticket at this date will cost $2,000 that I don't have. But this guy is a miracle worker, and he manages to book all 9 legs of the trip into one 48-hour journey, leaving in 4 days. Sven says, what's next? Well, I have to tell my parents. But in 1987, that's not that easy. To make an international call, you have to go to an international phone office, and there's only one in Bangkok, and it's across the city. But the American embassy is close by. And I had always been told that the American embassy was my home away from home. So we headed out into the steaming city. I was hobbling behind my Swedish couple, my Swedish friends, and people like foreigners and Thais were looking at me with open-mouthed stares. It's rare to see people looking so bad in Thailand. They're generally just back from the beach. But they were bodyguards, and they were like, hey, stop staring at her. How do you think that makes her feel? And whoa, huh? Is that enough? One guy yelled, is this some kind of a promo for a new horror film? And they're like, no, dummy. She was in a real bus accident. Shut up. We go to the American embassy and go through three different points where they check our passports, and I'm put into a gray room with nothing in it. And when it's my turn, I'm called up to see Agent Edward Worley, who speaks to me behind bulletproof glass, through a microphone, a bit like the Wizard of Oz, and says, why are you here? And I've been in a bus accident, and I've broken many bones. What do you want me to do about it? I'd just like you to call my parents and tell them I'm okay and that I'm coming home. I'm sorry. We're not able to do that here. We're not able to call the family unless the person has died. Sven says, are you kidding? She has just been in a bus accident where many people did die, and you can see she's very torn up, and you're not even going to let her call her family to tell them she's okay? It's the rule. It's not my rule. It's the American Embassy's rule. Anna says, this American Embassy is useless. Let's go to the International Telephone Office. So we head back into the steaming city, and I'm hobbling along, and we go past colorful streets and 5-star hotels and hairless cats and sidewalk restaurants, and we take a bus to a tuk-tuk down to the Choeur Maha River, and then we take 2 ferries down the river to the International Phone Office. And while I'm waiting in line, I'm trying to figure out who I'm going to call. Like, do I call my mother? She's going to completely break down. Well, I'll call my father, because I need somebody to meet me at the end of that flight in New York City. So I get on the phone, and it's my stepmother. And my father, she tells me, your father isn't here. I explain, all I need you to do is pass a message that I need him to meet me in New York. We're busy that day. I've got a play. We were going to see a play in Washington, D.C. What the hell? A play? So I get back in line, and I call my mother. And I say, I've been in a little accident. I think I may have broken my arm, but I really, really need you to come and meet me in New York City. And she doesn't ask any questions. She just says, I'll be there. That night, I really can't sleep. I'm propped up against pillows. My arm, the meds help a little bit, but my arm is still so painful. But I have my Walkman and my one cassette that's left, and it's Brian Eno's Another Green World. And I listen to that cassette very quietly, over and over, especially the song I'll Come Running, because it kind of reminds me of home, the softness of spring, the feeling of arriving at a garden gate and going through it and walking up to a door, to a doorway. And I listen to it all night as I watch the honeymooners sleep, curled up together in the shadows. Two angels. How many honeymooners would come and allow a torn-up traveler to share a room with them? The next morning, we start again, and we end up spending 4 days together, kind of like family. We eat together. They help me buy new clothes. They take me to cut my hair so that I can kind of manage the stitches on my head. They help me with my sling. The last night together, we drink Mekong rum smoothies, and we clink our glasses together to home. And the next morning, they call a taxi, and they carefully help me in. And as we're leaving, they say, "Courage, you're almost there." And I say, "Thank you, my angels." And we head off and turn the corner, and I realize I don't even know their last names. I don't have their contact information. But I do have Brian Eno's Another Green World and 12 AA batteries for my 48-hour trip where we stopped in Calcutta, Bombay, New Delhi, Doha, Luzerne, Barcelona, Paris, London, before arriving in New York. Thank you, Sven and Anna, for helping me get there. And no thanks to you, Agent Edward Worley. And when I walk off the plane, I see my mother standing there. And her eyes are red and puffy, and she hugs me so hard and says, "I knew you didn't just have a broken arm." And we take a propeller plane to Baltimore, and when we land, it's spring. And I can smell the fresh-cut grass and the lilacs, and the smell is so familiar, it makes me weak in the knees. And that's when I know I'm finally home. Thank you.